This is a beginner crochet tutorial on this oversized vest, which is Wednesday Addams inspired. If your size extra small to large, you probably don't need to make any adjustments. You can just follow exactly what I do. If you're extra large and above, you might need to add one more column of squares here. So let me give you the measurements. So the width of the vest is about 24 inches, and the height beginning from the collar to the bottom is about 27 inches. So for the material, of course, you're going to need your yarn. This is 4 Seasons Marvel 12 ply. So this is white. I also have this in black. I'm going to use a 5mm crochet hook for this yarn. So I went with a bigger hook, and because of that, as you can see, the stitches are really soft together. It's not stiff at all, if you know what I mean. So if you want to achieve the same result, just do what I do, go up one size. So if your yarn calls for a 4mm crochet hook, go up 1mm size, use a 5mm. Also, you're going to need some stitch markers to help you mark your stitches, a yarn needle to weave in the ends. By the way, this is my longest video so far, so if you prefer a written pattern, I have it on my Etsy, you can have a look. I'll link it in the comment below. So let's get started. To make this vest, we're going to make a front panel and a back panel. I'm going to show you how to make the front panel first, because once you know that, the back panel is very easy. So each panel is going to have 4 columns of squares, so 4 squares in a row, and each square is going to have 20 stitches, so 4 squares is 80 stitches, so that means I'm going to have 80 stitches in a row. For each panel, we're going to work our way up, beginning from the ribbing part. So I'm going to first use the black color to make a slip knot, and then insert my hook. And then I'm going to chain 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is a chain of 10. And then after that, chain 1 to turn. In the second stitch from the hook, this is the second stitch. Turn your work and find its back loop. You're going to insert your hook in that back loop and make a single crochet. So you're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. I'm going to mark this first stitch. And then in the next back loop, so that's the front 2 loops, that's the back one. Insert your hook again, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through 2, a second single crochet. And then in the next stitch, back loop, work a single crochet again, next stitch, single crochet. So you're going to work 1 single crochet in the back loop of each stitch, and you should have 10 single crochets for this row 1. This is the back loop of the last stitch. Work a single crochet, and this is how thick the ribbing is gonna be. Then you're going to chain 1 for the next row, turn your work and begin working the next row. In the first stitch, insert your hook in the back loop. So we have 2 top loops here. You're going to insert in the back one only, like so. and make a single crochet. In the back loop of the next stitch, work one more single crochet. So continue working like that, work one single crochet in the back loop of each stitch. And again, you should have 10 stitches for this row too. Last single crochet is worked in this marked stitch. Now I have 10 stitches here. And then from row 3, you're just going to repeat row 2, chain 1 and turn. From the first stitch, back loop, work one single crochet in each stitch, all the way to the last stitch, and you should have 10 stitches for every single row. So I'm going to continue working like this and work 80 rows in total. And this is how I count my rows. Each bump is 2 rows. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10. So I did 80 rows, and when I'm not stretching it, it measures about 20 inches. So this is going to be the ribbing of the front panel. After this, we're going to work on this edge back and forth and work our way up. But before I work my first row of the squares, I'm going to use the black color, work one row of single crochets here to build a nice foundation for the color change. And after I finish my last single crochet here, I'm going to chain 1. And as you can see, this is one row. I'm going to work one single crochet for each row here. So one single crochet here, one here, then this is the third row. So one single crochet here, fourth row, one single crochet here. So for this first row, I'm going to insert in this space here. It's pretty obvious. So that's one single crochet, and I'm going to mark this stitch. And then the second single crochet for the second row, I'm going to work here under this loop. So I just insert my hook under it. This one is a bit tight, and work a single crochet. Third one is this space. This is easy. 3 and 4 in this loop. So continue doing this and work one single crochet for each single crochet row, and you should have 80 single crochets in total. So because I have 80 rows, I should have 80 stitches. Starting from this marked stitch, which is the first stitch, I should have 80 stitches across. I have 3 stitches left. So this is number 77. So this is number 78. Next 79, and my last stitch. Okay, last one. And then the next row is going to be the first row of the squares, and we're going to use double crochets to make the squares. So normally you would chain 2 as the first double crochet of the next row, but I do my double crochet differently. So if you want, you can do what I do, but if you can't be bothered, you can just chain 2, and then in the second single crochet you make your double crochet. Okay, but I don't like this gap here, so I always make my double crochet like this. If you've seen my other tutorials, you would know my method. So without chaining any, you just turn your work directly, and in the very first stitch, insert your hook in both loops, make a single crochet, and then you would have 2 vertical loops here. Insert your hook in the left one and make a single crochet. So yarn over, pull through 1, and yarn over, pull through 2. And this is gonna be my first double crochet, and I'm gonna use this method to make the first double crochet of every row. I'm gonna mark this stitch, and then in the second stitch make a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook under both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. In the third stitch, do the same, yarn over, insert hook, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. I'm gonna go ahead and make 20 double crochets in black. So basically we're going to do 20 black, 20 white, 20 black, 20 white. So this is number 19. The next stitch is still black, but the stitch after is going to be white, and I'm going to change color at number 20. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now I have 2 loops left on the hook, and this is where we change color. So just grab your white yarn tail, yarn over, pull through 2 to finish this double crochet. And then I'm going to tie these threads together, just like this. And then drop both of them to the back. So this side is going to be the right side and the other is the wrong side. So from now on, I'm going to drop everything to the wrong side, which is this one. So drop both of them here, and we're not going to carry the black yarn either. And from the next stitch, you just work your double crochets as usual and work 20 of them. So I've got 19 here, number 19, and the next stitch is white, but the stitch after is black, and this is where we change color. So here we need another new black yarn tail. The easiest way is just to grab a new ball of yarn, and I'm going to do one more in white. Yarn over, insert hook, pull up a loop, pull through 2 once, and use the black to finish this stitch, and tie these together. And then drop both of them to the wrong side. From the next stitch, work 20 double crochets. This is number 19. One more in black, but change color here. And again, I'm going to use a new thread of this white yarn. Finish this stitch. tie them together and drop to the wrong side again. And then I'm going to work the last 20 double crochets in white. So if we've done everything correctly, number 20 of white should be this marked stitch. So just work one last double crochet in it. And then I'm going to start the next row. If before you chained 2 to make your first double crochet, you chain 2 here as well. So you just make it consistent, but I'm just gonna directly turn. So normally I would turn this way, but I figure if I turn the other way like this, the yarns are gonna be easier to manage. So I'm going to start my first double crochet like before. So in the first stitch, make a single crochet first, and then in the left vertical loop, insert hook and make a single crochet. So pull through 1, then pull through 2. Next stitch, a double crochet. So again, I'm going to make my first 20 double crochets in white. Okay, so I'm almost here. This is 19 and this is 20. But I change color in this stitch, so I insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then I'm going to finish this stitch with the black yarn. This is the wrong side, by the way, so I'm going to pull the black yarn from the wrong side, so it's going to be above the white yarn, and finish this stitch. And then I need to drop the white yarn to the wrong side, which is facing me right now, so just drop it here, and from the next stitch work 20 double crochets in black. And as you can see, this is the right side. It looks really neat. Okay, so number 20 here, my last double crochet in black, yarn over, pull through 2 once, and use the white yarn to finish this stitch. The white yarn is going to come from the wrong side. Finish this stitch. Drop the black yarn to the wrong side. And continue working my next 20 double crochets in white again. And then when I finish my next 20 double crochets in white, I'm going to change color again and work my last 20 double crochets in black. So I finished row 2 and started row 3. And again, you can chain 2 as your first double crochet, or you can do it my way. And this time I'm going to show you how to change color with the right side facing. So again, you're going to work your last double crochet to the last 2 loops on the hook, and then you're going to grab the white color, pull it from the wrong side and finish this stitch, and then drop the black to the wrong side, which is the other side, and then work your next double crochet in white. And this is how you change color from the right side. And then you're just going to repeat this color pattern for 10 rows in total. We're at row 3, so when you finish this row, do 7 more rows in this color pattern, 10 rows in total. And you would have 4 yarn tails like this. You're just going to try your best not to twist them, and after a few turns you might need to rearrange them, but you can also use bobbins. So you just leave a certain length and then you cut your yarn, wrap it around here, and then you would have 4 bobbins here, which is easier to manage. You probably would still have to untangle them, but it would be much easier to do so. But then the downside is that you would have to rejoin your yarn when you run out. So it's really up to you whichever method you feel is more comfortable for you. So now that I got my first row of squares, which are made of 10 rows of double crochets, from the next row I'm going to switch the colors. So I'm going to work a white square here, a black square here, a white here, a black here. So that means I'm going to change color here at the end of row 10. So you're going to work your last stitch to 2 loops on a hook. And now I'm going to need a new tail of white yarn. You can grab a new ball or you can cut this one. Because we're going to join a new white yarn here. This is going to be black. This white, we're going to use this tail. And this is going to be black as well. So we're not going to be using this one anymore. So you can cut this. I'm going to leave some length and cut it here. And now I'm going to use the white tail to finish this stitch. Again, I'm going to tie a knot. And turn my work. So when I work my double crochets, I'm going to carry the black yarn on the wrong side. Because we have the right side facing, that's the wrong side. So I'm going to be working with white and carry black. So when I insert my hook, I want to make sure the black tail is on my hook like this. And I'm going to go ahead and make my first double crochet. And continue making my stitches, making sure I carry the black yarn all the way to where I need to change color again. Last stitch, ready to change color. And before I change to black, I want to stretch this bit to make sure the black yarn carried at the back is not too tight. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish this stitch. Drop white to the wrong side. And again, when I make my next stitch, I'm going to pick up the other white tail. You should have 2 white yarn tails at the back. I'm going to carry the other one and begin making my double crochets. So drop the first white yarn tail, obviously because we are going to be using it when we come back for the first white square. We carry the second one is because we're going to be needing white for the third square. Again, time to change color. Make sure the white is not too tight. And change. Drop black to the wrong side and pick up the other black tail. Carry that tail and make the next double crochet in white. Last stitch in white. Change color. Then drop the white tail to the wrong side and continue working with black. So next I'm just going to finish this row with black and come back with black again. Change to white here. And then continue working like this. And then change to black. Continue working. Change to white and work back and forth. Again, I'm going to work 10 rows in total for the second row of squares. Okay, so I did another 10 rows here, and from the next row, we're going to switch colors again. So this is going to be a black square and white, black, white. So I need to change color here. When I have 2 loops on hook, I'm going to cut this one because we're going to be working a white square here. From the next row, we're also going to be doing some decrease. So I'm going to turn my work and make my first double crochet carrying the white yarn. And the decrease will be a double crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches after the first stitch. So to make a double crochet 2 together, yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, work this stitch to the last 2 loops on hook, and then you're going to go ahead and work a next double crochet in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over and pull through all. If you need, you can mark the first stitch, and from the next stitch, you're just going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch. Keep following the color pattern, and I'll see you at the end here because we're going to make another decrease here. Remember, we cut this black yarn. So after you cut it, when you work the next row, you're just going to carry the black yarn in your work so you don't have to fasten it off later. But anyway, when you work to your last 3 stitches, you're going to make a double crochet 2 together again over the next 2 stitches. So you work a double crochet, incomplete double crochet in the next stitch with 2 loops on hook, and then you yarn over again, work your next double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, and then you have 1 last stitch, work a double crochet in it. Okay, go ahead and make your first double crochet. And the next row, we're going to decrease again. So we're going to decrease like this for 5 rows. This is row 2. Work my first double crochet, and in the next 2 stitches, work a double crochet 2 together again, to 2 loops on hook, and the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 3. And then go ahead and work 1 double crochet in each stitch. Black here, black, white. And then at the end, when you have 3 stitches left, 1, 2, 3, you're going to work a double crochet 2 together here again, and then you have 1 last stitch left, work a double crochet in that stitch, and then turn your work and work your next row. So you're going to keep repeating this, work 1 double crochet 2 together, decrease at the beginning and at the end of the row, and do that for 5 rows in total, and I'll see you at row 6. So I worked 5 rows here, and as you can see, I've decreased at the beginning of the row, in the second and the third stitch for every row, and I also decreased at the end of the row as well, leaving 1 stitch at the end of every row, and then worked 1 double crochet in that last stitch. So for the next 5 rows, we're going to keep decreasing on both ends, but we're also going to start shaping the V-neck. So I've started row 6. I'm going to go ahead and work this row to the middle of the panel. So because we're going to start shaping the V-neck, there's not going to be any stitches here, so we can't work across the row. We have to stop here. We're going to make a decrease and then turn our work and work back and forth like this for one shoulder, and then we're going to fasten off and start working the other shoulder. So the decrease rate for the V-neck is going to be the same as this. When you have 3 stitches to the middle of the row, you're going to work a decrease over the next 2 stitches. And then you're going to work one last double crochet. And then you're going to turn your work. And you're going to do the same, begin your first double crochet. And then a double crochet 2 together. And then 1 double crochet in each stitch to the end of the row. 3 stitches left, a double crochet 2 together here, and then 1 last double crochet. And you're going to keep decreasing like this on both ends. This is row 6, we're starting row 7. You're going to do 10 rows in total. So after you finish this row 7, do 3 more rows like this. So by now you should have something like this. This is the armhole and this is the V-neck. I have 10 stitches in white and 15 stitches in black. And I've got 10 rows here, so from the next row we need to switch colors again. So I'm going to cut this white yarn and join it here. So for the next 10 rows, we're going to continue decreasing on this side, but stop decreasing here. So I'm going to flip my work. And when I work in white, I'm going to carry the black yarn. Like I said, we're going to continue decreasing for the V-neck. So I'm going to decrease over the next 2 stitches, carrying the black yarn. And then 1 double crochet in each stitch to the end. And no decrease at the end of the row for the armhole, so just 1 double crochet in each stitch. And then when you work your next stitch, you're going to maintain that shape. 1 double crochet in each stitch on this side. And when you're working towards the V-neck, remember to work a double crochet 2 together, decrease here, and then your last double crochet. And then begin your next row, decrease here again, 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way to the end. So continue working like this, maintain this shape, work like that for 10 rows in total, starting from this row. So when you finish those 10 rows, this side of the shoulder is done, and it looks like this. Finish your last stitch, chain 1 and fasten off. And for the other shoulder, we're going to begin from the center. We're going to, as you can see, we need to decrease at the beginning of the row and then at the end of the row as well. So we already have a white yarn tail here. I'm going to, in this first stitch, make the first double crochet. So I need to make a single crochet here first. I need 2 loops. I'm going to yarn over first and insert my hook and pull up 1 more loop. So I have 2 loops. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2. I have a single crochet, insert in the left vertical loop, make 1 more single crochet. And that's my first double crochet. And then, like I said, we need to form the V shape. So over the next 2 stitches, make a double crochet 2 together, and then 1 double crochet in each stitch to the end of the row. And when you have 3 stitches left, work a double crochet 2 together, decrease, and then 1 last double crochet in the last stitch. Begin your next row, decrease at the beginning of the row and at the end of the row as well. So you're going to form a shape like this and work like that for another 5 rows. Okay, so that was 5 rows decreasing on both ends. And from the next row, we are going to change color again. Cut this white yarn and join it there. And just like the other side of the shoulder, we're going to keep decreasing around the neckline. But on this side where the armhole is, we're going to keep this edge straight. So just 1 double crochet in each stitch on this side and keep decreasing here. Work like this for 10 rows. At the end of row 10, chain 1 again and fasten off. And you can cut the black yarns as well. Then you should have something like this. So next, we're going to move on to the back panel. So you're going to begin your back panel in the exact same way. Work 80 rows of back loop single crochets, then work 1 single crochet row to build a foundation. And then you're going to work the next 25. So this is 10, 20, and 5. The next 25 rows up to here, just like the front panel. So that means 20 rows of regular double crochets, and then row 21 to 25, you're going to decrease on both ends. And the beginning of row 26 is still the same, but when you're in the middle, you're just going to ignore whatever is happening here, and you're not going to work the V-neck for the back panel. So that means you're just going to work your way across. Don't forget to decrease at the end of the row and begin your next row, work all the way back here, and then you're just gonna work back and forth like that. So basically, the armholes of the back panel is going to be the same shape, so you decrease and then straight here. But we're just going to fill in this V-neck. We're going to fill this in with double crochets. So as you can see, the only difference is this V-neck here. The rest is the same. This is the front panel, wrong side. This is the back panel, right side. So put them together like this, and you can use either color because we are having 2 different colors here. For the next section, you're going to see me using a 6mm crochet hook, but that's a mistake because I've been working on multiple projects at the same time. I didn't even realize I was using a 6mm, so please just ignore that. There is a difference, but very little. No one's going to tell that I switched hook. So like I said, just ignore that and keep using your 5mm crochet hook. So I have my yarn tail here from the back panel. Chain 1. I'm going to insert my hook in the very first stitch. In this very first double crochet, I'm going to insert in both loops. And then in the back panel, find your first stitch, insert in both loops as well, and then pull up a loop, make a slip stitch. And then the next stitch, both loops, next stitch on the other side, pull up, slip stitch. So continue doing this. Last stitch and slip stitch, chain one, and fasten off. And for the other shoulder, you turn like this. Attach your yarn in the first stitches. In both loops. And then you start slip stitching like before from the next stitch. And then fasten off. So once both shoulders are done, you're going to turn this inside out. So turn to the right side of the vest. And these are the shoulder seams. So this is the back side of the vest. The color is divided into two colors. The right side is going to be white and this is going to be black. Before we do the actual color, I want to make one round of single crochets. I'm going to begin from the center of the back, but because this side is black, I can't use this one. So I need to cut this yarn and attach black yarn to the center. Attach in the first white stitch. And chain one. I'm going to tie the two tails together and carry them both so I don't have to fasten them off later. So work one single crochet in each stitch. All the way to the last white stitch. And then this is the shoulder seam. We're going to skip that seam and work along this edge. So as you can see, we have double crochets here. For every double crochet row, I'm going to work 2 single crochets along the edge. There's no certain rule how you're supposed to do this. You're just gonna find a pattern. And you're going to make sure you have 20 single crochets here because we have 10 double crochet rows, 2 single crochet per row, that is 20 single crochets. This is my last single crochet. Just in case I wasn't clear before, you should have 30 single crochets, totally 20 single crochets for 10 rows here. But then you have 5 white rows here, so that's another 10 single crochets, so altogether 30 single crochets. And then you're going to turn your work, so we're working in the opposite direction. So I'm going to chain 1, and in the first stitch make a slip stitch and mark this stitch. So mark the first stitch. Next stitch, slip stitch again. So 2 slip stitches, then chain 2. I'm actually gonna leave this here because I realized I should show you how to do this in white yarn because it's a little bit complicated. We need to do increase here. So I'm going to use white yarn to do this side of the foundation single crochet row first. And then I'm going to show you how to do the ribbing in white color, and the right side is going to be the same as the left side. So because we need to do the foundation row from the right side of the vest, and we're working in this direction, so I'm going to join the white yarn here. I'm going to attach my yarn to where I'm supposed to do the first single crochet. And then you chain 1. In the same stitch, work the first single crochet. And then again 2 single crochets for each double crochet row. Again, you should have 30 single crochets here, and then 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way to the center of the back. So when I finish the last single crochet at the center of the back, I'm just going to chain 1 and fasten off. And then I'm going to turn to the front. So we're going to work the white ribbing from the right side of the vest and the black ribbing from the wrong side of the vest, but the method is the same. So for this side, we actually need to rejoin the yarn, but for the other side, after the foundation row, you just chain 1 and turn. So I'm going to attach my yarn in the first single crochet. Because remember, for the first 2 stitches, we're going to work a slip stitch in each of them. So that counts as a slip stitch. So in the second single crochet, a slip stitch. And we're currently at the second slip stitch here. And then you're going to chain 2. In the back loop of the first chain, make a single crochet. And then you're going to attach this single crochet in the third single crochet on this edge. And then in the next stitch, slip stitch again. And in this single crochet we just made, you're going to turn your work, and in the back loop, work a single crochet. And then you're going to chain 1. I'm going to turn this way, and that's the single crochet we just did. In this one, work 2 single crochets and work in the back loop. So you should have 2 top loops. Insert your hook in the back one and make 2 single crochets. and then you slip stitch in the next single crochet on the edge, which is the 5th single crochet. So every time you come back to the edge, slip stitch twice. So in the next single crochet, slip stitch again. And then you see we have 2 single crochets here that we just made. Work 1 single crochet in each stitch. But you're going to turn your work and work 1 single crochet in each stitch in the back loop. And then you chain 1 and turn again. So what we're basically doing is we're working in rows here, but we're increasing 1 stitch every 2 rows. Okay, now we chain 1 and turn. I'm going to increase in the first stitch in the back loop. And work 2 single crochets. If you find it difficult to tell the stitches, you can always mark them. So that's the first stitch, 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and then we have a second single crochet, work 1 single crochet in it. So we have 3 single crochets for this row. And then I'm gonna slip stitch in the next single crochet on the edge. And slip stitch again in the next stitch. And find my 3 single crochets here. An easy way I find is to skip 2 chains. So when I turn my work, I skip the first chain, second chain, and that should be the first stitch. I work my single crochet in, work 1 single crochet in each stitch. And then I chain 1 and turn. In the first single crochet, make an increase, which is 2 single crochets in that stitch. And you can mark your first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Slip stitch twice. Turn your work. Skip 2 chains. From the first single crochet, work 1 single crochet in each stitch. Chain 1, turn. Now I have 4 single crochets in a row. From the next row, we're going to stop increasing. So just 1 single crochet in each stitch from the first stitch, but we still insert in the back loop. So 1, but then you're still gonna slip stitch twice and turn your work. From the first single crochet, skip 2 chains, 1 single in each stitch. Chain 1 and turn. So continue working like this. Work 4 single crochets in each row, all the way to the center back of the vest. So this is my last row. Finish the 4 single crochets and then slip stitch in the one last single crochet and fasten off. And for the other ribbing, I got you started before, so you're just going to do exactly the same thing as the other side and work your ribbing all the way back here. When you finish the color, we're going to join the seams here and here, and we're going to do it from the wrong side. So this is the wrong side. I'm going to use the black yarn to join. And don't forget we have one row of single crochets here as well, because we didn't slip stitch the last to the first stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook in this white stitch, 2 loops of the single crochet, and on the other side as well. And slip stitch, because we're going backwards a little bit. It's going to be a bit hard to do this. And next is the first stitch of these 4 single crochets. So on this side, you're going to insert in both loops, and on the other side, try to insert in the back loop. Slip stitch, both loops, back loop, slip stitch, both, back, slip stitch, both, back, slip stitch, and fasten off. So for the front here, as you can see, we have 2 corners here. So we're going to join from the beginning of the edge all the way here. So for this one, I want to attach my yarn to the center here in the black stitch. Leave the tail to the wrong side. And I'm going to begin from the first stitch. On the first stitch, we have a slip stitch here, both loops. And in the white stitch, we have a slip stitch as well. If you can't find the exact stitch, it's okay, just insert somewhere around there. And slip stitch. Next slip stitch. And then we should have a single crochet edge, because these are not single crochets, these are edges. So I'm just trying to find spaces to insert my hook. and the right side looks like this. Okay, one last thing to do is the side seam and the armhole. I already did one side, so this is what it looks like. We're going to begin from the bottom ribbing, join the side seam, and work the armhole. But for this side, I didn't need to change color because the ribbing is black. The armhole is black as well. By the way, the armhole color matches the collar color, so they're both black. And on the other side, the color is white, so the armhole is going to be white. But for this side, we need to change color because the ribbing is black. So from the wrong side, we're going to join the ribbing first. So just like how we joined the collar seam at the back of the vest, I'm going to attach my yarn in the first stitch, insert in both loops when attaching, and then from the next stitch, this side both loops, the other side back loop only, slip stitch. Next stitch, both, back, slip stitch. Make sure you're not missing any stitches. Last one. And don't forget we have one black single crochet row here before the white stitches. So I'm going to work one more slip stitch. And then I'm going to change to white. So I'm just going to pull it through, and like before, I'm going to tie them together. You can cut the black yarn now if you want. And we're going to do 2 slip stitches for each double crochet row. So 2 squares here, 10, 10, 20 double crochet rows. That means 40 slip stitches from here to here. So this is the last slip stitch. And then chain 1. And then you can turn this vest inside out because we're going to crochet 1 round of single crochet around the edge from the right side. So I'm going to begin from here. It's the same as if you turn this vest inside out and begin from here. And again, I'm going to work 2 single crochets for each double crochet row. I'm going to mark the first stitch. So 2 single for each double crochet row, just like before. So I'm going to work like this around the armhole. I should have 80 single crochets for this round. And this is number 80. So 80 single crochets, and then I'm going to slip stitch in this first stitch. And you can mark your last stitch for later if you want. And then I'm going to chain 4 plus 1. The last one is for turning, so the 4 stitches would be how wide the ribbing is. If you want your ribbing to be thicker, you just add more chains here. So from the second stitch from the hook, turn your chain. In the back loop, work a single crochet, back loop in the second stitch, single crochet, back loop third and fourth. And remember before when we were working for the neckline, every time we come to the edge, we slip stitch twice. But for the armhole, we're going to slip stitch 3 times. So from the next stitch, slip stitch 1, next stitch 2, and next 3. You can mark the next stitch if you want. And turn your work. Skip the 3 slip stitches, 1, 2, 3. In the first single crochet, back loop, begin working our single crochet in the back loop of each stitch. So we should have 4 single crochets for each row. Number 4, chain 1 and turn. And from the first single crochet back loop, 1 single crochet in each stitch. Number 4, and then again slip stitch 3 times from the next stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Turn again. From the first stitch, 1 single crochet in each stitch in the back loop, chain 1, turn, 4 single crochets, slip stitch 3 times. So continue repeating this and work around this armhole. So I finished my last row. My next stitch is marked, which means this is the last stitch. So I'm going to slip stitch in this stitch. And then we're going to join the edges from the wrong side. So turn your work. As you can see, this is the wrong side. And just like before, we're going to do in the first single crochet 2 loops, and on the other side back loop only. And make 4 slip stitches, chain 1 and fasten off. And that is it. And the only thing left to do is to fasten all the ends off. Take your yarn needle. You're going to do this on the wrong side. So you're just going to find any nearby loops that are in the same color as the thread. And then you go in the opposite direction. And that is it. Your vest is done.